Welcome to Modern Shakti Files, episode
Welcome,
4.
welcome.
It's crazy. It's number 4 today already. We said number 3 just as we were catching up. But we have so much fun with this, and we are so excited to discuss today the physical manifestations, how it feels in the body when Kundalini Shakti, when our life force energy moves through us. So we are going to talk a little bit about the physical manifestations, the sensations, and also how the energy can actually manifest itself through our own experiences or even our clients' experiences. And then we can drop in a little bit more about what you might be experiencing if you go to a Kundalini activation session, because I think that's a very interesting topic for many of us, and what it was like for us as well, beyond kind of what we touched on a little bit previously in our introduction about how the energy has awoken in us. And then also we can touch a little bit deeper on to the subject of what it feels like afterwards. So everything body-based. How does that sound?
That sounds really, really good. So I don't know if you want to start with talking a little bit about your own experience with physical aspects of the energy. I can imagine our experiences are similar in some ways, but also quite different in others. So do you want to talk a little bit about your experience, how things felt in your body and the different type of physical manifestations?
Yeah, sure. So this is a very interesting process, because I would say the energy manifests differently in different stages, and it always has a very unique way that it feels at the time. Some of the common sensations, I would say, like from day one, because I started having some Kundalini activation sessions myself. I think I had maybe 3 or 4 at least before I got into learning how to facilitate and hold the energy. And obviously I was practicing my own, but in being in that space of receiving, or whether it's self-activation, I think one of the most powerful sensations are these little energetic tingles that you start feeling in your body, like around your fingertips. Like there's this electric little feeling that starts moving your whole body, which is, I guess maybe that's one of the first signs, because I remember the first session that I have received after noticing that this energy was kind of moving everywhere in my spine, is that when I lay down and I started receiving or dropping into the activation, just the tingles started to kind of run all through my arms, all the way up, which kind of then starts pulsing into your chest. And I think that's one of the most powerful, like most common things that we notice in the body, that the chest immediately starts to expand on its own. It's kind of like like, what is that ER thing called? The one when they put like that electric shock into your chest, and that's what it feels like within, right? Like your whole chest just expands, you arching, and you feel this energy just building up and surging through your body so much. I guess something that's you relate to quite a lot as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that some of the physical manifestations with me, it was almost like a buzzing in the body, but like a and sometimes that would be very like overwhelming for me to try and be with, like your body just feeling like So that was some of my physical kind of manifestations, and the way in which I would settle those feelings, because obviously they felt quite big and they felt quite intense, would be to have an Epsom salt bath. And it
That's really
almost felt
cool.
like, yeah, it would diffuse. It's almost like it diffused my energy a little bit, where I'd be like, I could breathe again.
Like it grounded you and kind of cleanse your field a little bit to bring you back into the body. Because that's a very powerful thing that you actually said there, because this is something I constantly repeat when we go into ceremony, that the reason why we drop into the sensations and the feelings of this energy is so that we can learn to hold intensity while being present. because that's what it truly is. It becomes an intense expansion of energy while you are present, which is why I think Kundalini activation is so powerful, because you're in a state of safety and surrender and staying connected to your breath, and there is nothing else to do. And intensity can move while you are fully present and anchored with what is happening inside of your body. And that's what essentially retrains your nervous system, that when intensity happens, whether that's energetic intensity or something that triggers you outside of you, doesn't really matter. We can stay anchored and this will pass, and we know how to get back into regulation.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't know if you experienced this, but I started to do random movements that I was like, oh, this is new. Like, I've never done that before. And I'd be dancing in the gym and my hands would be like so floaty. And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
I never knew I could dance like that. And I started doing lots of spinal movements, and this was before that I even realised I was going through a Kundalini awakening, right? I started to do postures and positions to support energy movement, and I was just like, well, this is different. This is weird that I'm wanting to move my body in these ways. So if you notice yourself starting to want to move your body in certain ways, invite it. Your body is so intelligent, it knows exactly what it's doing. And I was just like, wow, okay. I never knew my spine could bend this way before, but
Yeah, it's
I'm
really
more
odd
flexible now.
when it bends you so much that you're like literally in a bridge and you're like, I'm literally trying to do this in yoga. Now all of a sudden something just takes over me and I'm bent over backwards and I'm totally fine because there is support.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah. And I think some of the things physically that, obviously, like, we've got a masculine and feminine channel. So your right side of your body is your masculine, your left is your feminine. Ida and Pingala. And heat can manifest in the body. So if you think about people that go through things like the menopause or the perimenopause, and you hear about them having hot flashes, like, from my perspective and my understanding, this is masculine energy. It's like mass heat moving through the system. So this can, heat, for example, I've been sat at my computer and had like an overwhelming amount of heat moving through my body. And this can often happen when you are trying to have intense periods of focus. So when that happens, the important thing is to try and down regulate that heat, because being in that state, that really heated state for too long, is not actually good for the body. And then you also might have periods of cool, so like cooling sensations. And how this is manifested for me in the body is just random spells of cooling in different parts of the spine. So that's your feminine energy starting to move. So if you notice any heating or cooling in the body, once again, that is a normal part of the process. It is just important to notice that, does it ever, if it gets too uncomfortable, how can I proactively do something about that heat burning in my body? Is it related to a task or an activity that you're doing at the time? Can you do something different? Can you do something more grounding for yourself, like get a shower, go outside, feet on the ground? So there, another couple of physical manifestations. Can you think of any more that you've had, Mayu?
For me, what was really important as well is to create an environment where I can let the energy move. So intentionally bringing in practices where I open the body up and clear it every day. And I noticed that when I'm not talking about major rituals, like this is something that I also teach a lot in my workshops. Like every time before we drop into an activation, I open up the whole body. Like I start with the lymphatic opening, I massage the scalp, press on all the right points, opening up the channels, really shaking the body off. And this is something I do every single day, because I noticed if I don't, it's because we were talking about this a little bit, you often have very intense energy moving through you. And for me, in order to actually feel very present with the energy, I need to create that flow and that space for it. And I noticed the difference. If I don't open the body up and I don't release and I don't reset and kind of like look at it as letting the stagnant energy go every day, then I feel it in my energetic sensitivity becomes a bit dull more than anything. And when I intentionally do that, then it just becomes this very tingly and light and like beautiful energy flow that I can connect to and drop into anytime throughout the day. Yeah.
Amazing. And something that I experience often is orgasms. So
Talk about that.
energy orgasms, and like one of the first times I experienced one was a heart orgasm, right? So I had this
Beautiful.
heart orgasm. I'm walking down the beach, like grounding, and my heart bursts open with all this love and all of these tears of like joy just
Yeah.
come down. And then I start like, walking really slow, trying to like savor the moment. And I've had like periods where I've had 7, 8 hour full body orgasms, like ridiculous. And my invitation for this is that when these things are happening, your body and your being is getting used to more pleasure as a baseline. So it's like, be with it. And I've been in moments where I've been in the gym and having a full body orgasm and I still work out, right? But it's like you are having a new baseline of experience of what you can feel energetically and pleasure wise. So it's not about like pushing that experience away. It is about, how can I hold all of this pleasure in my body and allow myself to feel it and not run away from it? Because it feels like, when you're in it, I think to myself, I couldn't possibly feel any more pleasure if I tried. And then it goes higher, up another octave, and I'm like, and that would frighten most people in the Western world. For people that learn that the only way to experience an orgasm is through touching your like pussy or having sex, you'd think like, what is wrong with me? And learn to be with it, because that bliss is your natural state. Like, especially women are made of pleasure. Like, we're designed to be these blissful orgasmic people. So if you are experiencing intense manifestations of pleasure, like, learn to be with that, like, and enjoy it, and like savor the moment, and then thank God.
And also for those who actually who don't who listen to this and perhaps on the other side of the spectrum or feeling quite numb in general, this is a very powerful message and reminder that this is why we do these body-based practices, these energetic expansions, because it leads us back to our natural state. And our natural state is being deeply connected, is being deeply joyful and pleasureful, like majority of the time. So even when pain moves through us, it becomes an experience that doesn't shut down or overheat the system. So we can hold that capacity both ways. Yeah, very, very powerful place to be.
Yeah, 100%. I have also had physical manifestations of what it feels like burning. So I've had moments in time where, like, through the center of my column and the center of my channel, energy has just been, and it almost feels like my internal organs are like burning from the inside out, like real physical, painful manner. Yeah, honestly, some moments where it was intense for me to endure those type of things. And to the point where it can almost take your breath away in terms of thinking like, wow, this is really big. Like, I don't know if like I can hold this. And in them moments, co-regulation. So if you can find someone who is in a very regulated state that you can kind of sit with and they can comfort you or hold your hand and support you, that will
And
be
also,
really nourishing for you.
just touching on that, that's also kind of what happened in a Kundalini ceremony. That your
Yeah.
facilitator is supposed to be that person who holds and anchors you, so your body can
Yeah.
drop into that state of complete release because it feels safe enough, so the energy can move, and you're being held in that container that your facilitator hopefully can hold very safely for you and co-regulate for you.
Yeah. 100%. Co-regulation is so helpful, so nurturing in this process. And also like self-talk, like
Yeah.
learning to be your own best friend. Know that you've got it. So like hold your body, like physically hold your body and like touch your arm, let yourself know that you're safe and that you're going to be okay. All of these different physical manifestations, they're just expressions of energy. And eventually you learn to just be with the level of intensity that moves through your body, and you end up having like a new baseline. Can you think of any more physical manifestations?
I was just gonna say, and then there's also the unusual stuff. Well, not unusual, but like in the Western world, it's like, that's weird, that's not energy. Burping, making weird
Yeah.
sounds, like when energy releases, that often releases through the throat. So it's really common that when you're actually having a big somatic release, you notice that the cycle has completed once there is a burp that finishes it, or a big yawn, any kind of vocal expression. And then it also later touches into the manifestation of light language that can often come through. So like, sounds like all of a sudden you just can't hold it back and you start like speaking in tongues, and it feels super weird. And you're like, why do I need to say these weird things? And it's just basically the frequency finding a way to move through you. And then also, I mean, I don't know if it's really that physical, but you know, you start really getting your clear senses become very strong in that process. So whether it's different visions, or you start hearing different things and deepening the sensations, whatever is your strongest clear sense is, that also becomes very strong in these kind of moments.
Yeah. And I would say like my strongest thing is feeling. Like that is my strongest. So many people like they'll have experience of Kundalini where the third eye opens and they start seeing all of these crazy mad manifestations. And in my my personal experience, I don't see stuff. I feel very, very deeply. Like that is my superpower, and it's
Yes, because you constantly speak so much about like these very strong like embodied experiences, so that makes a lot of
yeah.
sense. Very interesting. And I'm on the other hand, like you said, I see, so I get all these visions of, you know, dragons and mermaids and all of this. Like, you would think that, you know, it's my imagination, but also at the same time it feels like remembrance, so it's all connected, yeah, so deeply.
Yeah. Wow, that's powerful. The physical movement. So when the energy starts to move through you, it can do like body movements. And what that if your body has never moved by itself before and you experience your body moving by itself before for the first time, you are going to go, what the hell? And typical kind of manifestations is like, so for the stomach, a lot of people, you'd start to see like the abdomen would just start going.
Yes, yeah, the little
And
contractions, yeah.
yeah. And there's a word for them, but I've really forgot what that word is right now.
And you feel that in the chest too, that kind of moves,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the chest starts
And
opening.
and at one stage, like I was literally humping my floor at one stage because on the back of your body, on the back of your body, you've got a tailbone that flicks backward and forwards, and that tailbone allows spiritual energy to start to move through your channel. And my body naturally wanted to twerk as it was, you know, like going through the healing process. So I just remember at one stage I was lying down on the floor, and then I was just like twerking with my booty, like flicking up in the air like this. And it sounds absolutely bizarre, but it's just like how the energy wants to move, and if you can not be resistant to that and you can allow it, then the process becomes a lot easier. It's the resistance to the process that can often make it more painful and hard to overcome. And I've had experiences before, sometimes like where my full body feels like it's in physical pain. And when I'd speak to like my therapist about it, he'd be like, it's because you're resisting. It's because you're resisting merging with what is. And because my body's resisting it, it's causing physical pain because
So
I'm not
crazy.
letting go.
Yeah. And this is so crazy because what you're describing here from a somatic perspective is exactly what translates into any spiritual teaching and deeper wisdom. So anything that you resist in life, so pain doesn't come from pain itself. It's not the negative emotion itself. Pain and suffering happens through resistance. So if you resist emotions moving through you because you're attaching a story or identity to them, these emotions going to last a lot longer. They cannot complete the cycle, and that's what going to create suffering. If you learn how to fully surrender into an emotion, into a feeling that comes up anytime, even without a bodily reaction or twerking on the floor, like we said, that emotion will move through you. Like it's actually scientifically proven. It takes about an average 90 seconds for an emotional cycle to complete itself when we witness it without attaching a meaning to it. So it's not like you said, I'm having pain, or I am sad, or I am angry. I am experiencing pain. I am experiencing sadness. I'm experiencing anger, and letting that emotion move through you. And that's where the mind comes in to
Yeah,
support that process.
yeah. And that's brilliant as well, because I think it'll be really interesting to do a podcast episode on the mind whilst going through this process, because
Yeah.
the stories that you narrate around what's happening to you obviously are going to impact how you feel, right? So we'll definitely have to do a podcast episode on that.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk a little bit into somebody's coming to you to have a Kundalini activation? What kind of physical things can happen to them in ceremony, and what does that look like after?
So in ceremony, because you often create a very safe and held space, it automatically gives permission to the body to drop in a lot deeper than it might do outside of a ceremony, for example. Like that's the purpose behind a ceremony. It's a held and specific container to go very deep. Or you might learn eventually, of course, to hold that space for yourself too. But in the beginning of the process, that's very helpful. And what you can notice is like we already spoke about the manifestations in the body, like how the body can move. You often find yourself, you start channeling quite easily because it helps the energy to move. So again, circling back to light language. And as sort of the intensity and the energy builds, it eventually leads to some kind of very deep release in some shape or form. But I want to be very particular with this because this is where people often see a lot of distortion around Kundalini and ceremonies or energy healing ceremonies online too. When it becomes a space where we are chasing cathartic releases, that's when this energy becomes dangerous. So it's very important to put it out there that it is very possible for a cathartic release to manifest when the body feels safe enough, but it should never be the end goal, or it shouldn't be what we're looking to achieve. It can happen, and it should only happen if not only the body feels safe, but you are in a health space where you have the capacity to fully complete that cycle, where your body can fully release and actually have time to come back into a regulated state and integrate the experience as well.
Yeah. That's brilliant. And I think, like, for me, when I've held ceremonies, people's bodies can start to move naturally, and that doesn't always happen. Sometimes people are completely still as well. People might have sensations of bliss, relaxation, peace. They may see visions of like family members. I've had visions of family members, people floating down rivers, seeing all different colours. And yeah, I would say they're the typical physical manifestations. Or you might get, like, as I said about the gargling in the body, so you might hear your stomach like, and you'll be like, whoa, I've not eaten in a while. Or you might feel called to yawn. I'm trying to think off the top of my head all of the different physical things.
Sometimes you feel like shouting.
Yeah, rage, emotion, tears, upset. It can really depend upon.
Without a story. That's another important part. Like you can feel these
Yeah,
emotions without understanding or knowing why. You just feel that.
yeah, and yeah, they're the kind of physical manifestations. And then maybe like a couple of days later, I say to people that you might feel a bit more sensitive to life in general. And emotion wise, you might in a couple of days later express more emotion. So you might have a big cathartic release, and it's to like be with yourself and journal what's going on. Some people have crazy manifestations after a session with me. Like, I've literally had people like find £1,000 in their workplace, their own business, that they didn't know was there, and I'm like, that's mental.
Yeah. You start seeing opportunities and you become a lot more compassionate towards yourself because you
Yeah.
kind of rebuild that deep relationship with your body and you start seeing that divine source energy, like, God, creator, universe, like all of these big terms that often is so outside of you. You start feel that within you. So you start showing up differently, you walk differently, you act differently. Your identity is starting to become a very different person. And of course, manifestations will follow because now you embody it.
And I'd say to people as well, coming into it, if you are not ready for a shift in reality, then don't come into the space, because it will require shifts. It'll require shifts in your being, in how you're acting, the people around you. I think we said before, I've had people that have had one session and had gone from drinking alcohol near enough every night to no longer desiring to drink alcohol whatsoever. Change in the behaviour because of the increased sensitivity, and the connection to yourself is just absolutely
Yeah. Yeah.
powerful.
Let's just touch on alcohol for a moment here, because I often have this conversation with people when I tell them I've been sober for over 3 years now, at least. I kind of lost track of it. And they're like, why? Do you never drink anymore? And it's not the case that I had problem with alcohol, for instance. Like I used to party and I would have a glass of wine coming home from work, have a very normal relationship with alcohol, what our society deems as normal. And eventually it just becomes this really crazy healthy relationship where if I want to have a glass, I will. There is nothing that's stopping me whatsoever. And I have over the years made sure to have at least a glass for whatever reason, because I want to return to it and to be able to say, no, not for me. I don't, it's just something I naturally don't choose. And it's a very different place to be in, where you intentionally just don't desire it because there's nothing that can give you. It doesn't make you feel better or give you
Makes you feel
more.
worse.
Exactly. And why would I want something that makes me feel worse? So it's not a sacrifice. It's not something that, okay, now I'm working with this energy and I'm gonna say no and I'm gonna suppress all the desires for all the earthly pleasures, so to say. It's a natural choice that feels less than.
I would say yes, and my body also rejects it. So like the clearer your body and vessel is, the cleaner it is, the more it rejects what isn't for you. I remember about 3 years ago, I tried to have a cocktail at a friend's party and I had 2 sips and I was curled in a corner because my body was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Your body is intelligent, it knows what's for you and it knows what isn't for you as well. And it will speak to you like when you get, feelings of, I really want to eat this food. Your body knows, or this drink, or that drink. Like, it is very intelligent. And I'd say to add on to that, for a while I couldn't eat meat because my body just completely rejected it. And I did lose weight at one stage of my awakening process. Like, my body did become like really quite like thin, and because I was going through such movement of like pain manifestation tied in with not being able to eat like dense food as well. And now on the other side of that, like, I eat meat as I desire and as I please, and I don't make myself bad or wrong for wanting those things, but I listen to my body, and sometimes it'll say like, yeah, I prefer fish, or I walk around the supermarket and my body will like, it'll go ugh to certain like foods.
Yeah.
It's so intelligent. It's so intelligent.
Yeah, that's so.
Yeah, it's like a radar.
Yeah. It's so crazy that you say that, because I had the same journey, like having vegan, vegetarian for 8-9 years on and off. And the beginning of tapping into Shakti Kundalini, when I had my initial Kundalini awakening, at the beginning of the process, I actually had to go super clean with my diet, like very light foods only. So I think I ate like raw vegan for a good 3 to 6 months even. Like I was going through this really deep cleansing process at first. And then later on, after a year and a half, perhaps, as the energy was integrating and I started to master the energy and hold it, is when my body started craving really high quality, dense food like meat, for example. But also, it immediately chose consciously. So that's another thing too, that you become very picky with the quality of the food that you're eating.
Yeah.
Farmers markets loved me because and that was the only thing I was willing to eat for some time. So yeah,
I love that.
I could really feel that it was something that was supporting my body in grounding back in, because that's another thing. The more grounded you are, the higher you can go. So your body knows, and there is no right or wrong. We're not gonna get into a debate of diets. it's
Yeah.
Everybody needs a very special diet for very particular reasons, and the sooner we accept and go by that, the more supportive we are going to be towards everyone around us and ourselves.
Yeah. Brilliant. So just to recap then, some of the things that you can do to support yourself with the physical symptoms: Epsom salt baths, 100% game changer if you can have a Epsom salt bath. Grounding, direct contact to earth. If you're feeling a bit overwhelmed with energy and sensation, grounding. If you are experiencing a lot of heat in the system, try and avoid what it is that you're doing, because too much heat in the system can be really bad for the body. So try and maybe co-regulate or be with yourself. If you are having big, intense
regulation, if you don't have a human, grab a dog. Very helpful.
Grab a dog. Yeah.
So you said heat in the body. Sorry, I kind of got you off track there. Stagnation. If you feel stagnant, make sure you move the body. Reset, lymphatic reset. Any movement that kind of lets the energy move through usually also helps when you start feeling a bit like too much pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And we were also talking about the resistance. Remember not to resist and allow it to move through you.
Yeah. Beautiful. So if you found this episode helpful, please comment. We would love to hear what you thought about this episode. We haven't planned our next episode topic yet, but we will soon be back and hope to be on this channel soon. You got anything you want to say?
If you have any questions or any comments or anything you want to speak about, leave a comment and we will be able to either respond to you in the comments or even bring your questions into an episode and discuss them.
Amazing. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye, 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 bye.